What's up, everybody? We're back. This is our second coaches interview in our interview series with our local coaches. Last week we had Coach Austin Gardner in his first year at Titusville. This week we have Coach Chris Sands. He is the head coach at Eau Gallie High School. He's in year 7 at the program, and we're going to bring him up today so we can have a conversation with. What's up, Coach?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Everything's good, man. Like I said, I have been a critic of Egali, and I am here to give kudos and credit where it is deserved. I was a critic for some time, but I am a believer in the program. I like what you're doing. Let's talk a bit about your win last week against Vero. Big time win for you guys as a program. I think it was a statement victory.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. First and foremost, no. When you reached out this weekend, I figured, I've heard all the criticism and all the stuff that was told, but at the end of the day, we're men, and for you to reach out, I figured let's be men about it and talk about it. And I appreciate you reaching out and having a conversation with me. Rather than hearsay from other people, but yeah, that one was huge. That one was huge for our program. Obviously, going in the kickoff classic, playing Mainland, who won the state title, that had great players. We knew we were going to have a challenge in the first 2 weeks with them and Vero. But at the end of the day, we wanted to make sure we won week 1 and not, really fully worried about that week 0 game. Obviously, we have a staff that has, great football minds, 4 guys that started 4 years at the Division I level, guys that have coached a long time. So we put together a game plan against Vero that we thought that would be successful against them. I mean, we're arguably facing, the best defensive player in the country. They had 2 DBs committed Division I programs, one being a Florida State commit, one being an Illinois commit. So we had to figure out ways to move the ball. And obviously in the Mainland game, we didn't move the ball much. Right. So again, we did a good job. With our players to put them in good situations, and those kids performed, and we made plays. And obviously defensively, we got a pretty good one. They got a great offense, and they're huge up front, and they got all these playmakers. Obviously the quarterback's good. So we knew it wasn't going to be a shutout. Like, that's just not realistic. But at the end of the day, our defense, played really tough. We gave up an offensive touchdown off a strip fumble. But again, I'm really proud of our guys, and obviously 1-0 is the goal every week, and we were able to have that done.
Right. And as you all are going into Rockledge this week, how do you make sure that you're not on a high from last week and underestimating this week's opponent and keeping the team focused and keeping the main thing the main thing?
Yeah, I think it's easy in our county because all our kids know each other. So I don't think we're going to underestimate or overestimate anyone, just because our kids have grew up playing with these other guys. So again, we're playing Rockledge. We know how emotional that game was last year. Obviously, it's not last year; it's this year. But the comments I've heard, throughout since that game last year of, oh, it was a fluke, they're not as good as us, blah blah blah. I mean, I think everyone around is starting to see the reality of it, and hopefully we can show that on Friday. I think Tyrone, I have a lot of respect for Tyrone. I think he deserved that job. We've had multiple conversations just talking about that. But at the end of the day, they got to put 11 on the field, and so do we. And we think our 11 are pretty damn good.
And what do you believe is the identity of your offense and how you structure it and it roles and everything?
Yeah, I think it's a little different this year since we have Joseph Allen at the helm playing quarterback. If you look at us a couple of years back when we had Cade Ross, I mean, we slung the ball around more than anyone in the state. And then obviously we had 2 really good running backs for a couple of years. Obviously, Tay's still here. But the ability to throw the ball on the perimeter and get our playmakers the ball, that's the goal. Guys like Xavier Larice and Tay Welsh and, DJ Maltzby and Emmanuel Small, we want to get those guys the ball. Makai Biggs, we want to get those guys in space with the ball in their hands and make people tackle us. So I think that's the identity. Just give our playmakers the ball and let them do what they do.
Understandable. You're going into year 7. How do you keep yourself sharp and make sure you're not stagnant and becoming complacent?
Yeah, it's hard. Everyone thinks there's a college job in the horizon and all that stuff. It gets brought every year, but at the end of the day, I have 3 young kids. That's my priority. So I'm not going anywhere. So it's hard to kind of recharge the batteries, so to speak. But at the end of the day, when you see those kids, able to go to college and go to college for free, that's what recharges those batteries. Get guys that don't have a way out, that we find ways out for them, and them coming back to us and giving us praise of how we changed their life. So again, that's the recharge for us. And obviously it's awesome to be out there with my boys coaching. I've been close with most of my staff for a long time. And we like each other. We like being around each other. And obviously we enjoy being on the field with our kids.
And as for your 2025 class, this is the one class that's been with you the longest amount of time. What are your long-term goals for this season for you all as a group, as that collective group of seniors?
I think since the beginning, it's obviously to win it all. If we go into a game not expecting to win or not having that goal, what are we doing this for? And obviously, it's to do that. But in our program, and I say it all the time, and people think I'm crazy, our goal is to get these kids out,
Right.
whether it's on full scholarship or going to the military or finding a job or whatever it is. That's the goal. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to be here after 4 years. They're
Right.
not. They're leaving and going to do something else. So us as a staff, if we can get them out and get them. Obviously playing college football is kind of what we're known for, but again, not just that, going to the Army, going to, do a trade or whatever it is, that's the goal. I mean, we just had to put the rest of one of our players last week that was service in the Army in Poland, and he passed away. But it was a player for us that, a lot of people don't talk about because, again, he didn't play college football. But again, our goal here is to just get kids and have them be successful people in life. And I think we've done a pretty good job doing that.
Understand. Also, what we talked about, you mentioned Joseph and Tay Welch, and of course, you got all those guys with all stars on the other side of the ball. You got Ahmed, you got E-Man, and Brandon. And I don't want to get into naming names because I feel like I'll miss somebody, but Xavier Larice as well. You have all of those guys, but who are some underrated guys for you all that we should be looking out for and that will have a big impact on your team this year?
Yeah, I think at the receiver position, we saw it kind of last week with DJ Maltzby. He had over 130 yards of offense, 2 long touchdowns. Mekhi Biggs is another one offensively that's a big part of what we do. And then we have some guys on the defensive side that don't get the and obviously playing at a really high level. And those guys, make plays all over the field for us at all times.
Okay. It broke up a little bit. I guess it was a little bit of the what you call it. So could you repeat that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was when I was talking about the defensive side of the ball, guys like Rick Barry and Caden Davis, those guys are 3-year starters for us. And obviously when you got guys like Brandon and Xavier and E-Man and AJ and Jay Latz and all those guys that get all the praise, those 2 guys in the middle kind of make things run for us. And they do a great job for us, from day one.
And Josh Roberts is also one of the underrated guys for you all. It's never intentional how we forget him, but we just forget him sometimes.
And to be honest, when you said underrated, I don't think he's underrated anymore. I think people are realizing how good that kid is.
Right.
And what makes him so good is just, his work ethic. Like, he is nonstop. He transferred his body in a year to make him, a high Division I player. But if you watch him on film, he's just nonstop and plays relentless in everything he does, whether it's obviously at DN, he plays offense for us. He can do it all. He's our personal protector on punt. But again, I think people are starting to realize how good he is. So I wouldn't say he's a non-name player anymore. I think, he's pretty named now, being committed to FAU now.
Yeah, I wasn't saying he was a non-name player. Yeah. I just was mentioning him because I forgot that oftentimes he's forgotten. But he's a really good kid and a really good athlete. Coach, they approved NIL for high school over the summer, and How do you feel about that? I don't like it personally, but how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I don't think it's really going to affect us at this level. I think the metropolitan area, it's really going to affect, obviously, with the Miami and Orlando and Jacksonville area. But for us, I mean, our kids are going to go where they think is the best situation for them in the future. We're not throwing out money like that. I mean, no one is around this area. But we've done some stuff for our guys, or they did for themselves, just little stuff around local businesses. Because at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be a money thing at the high school level. It's going to be a gear thing or a food thing or whatever it is. I don't think there's going to be money getting passed around unless it's at that high metropolitan area.
I definitely said in spaces, I think it'll be more of a goods and services
Yeah,
thing, and a lot
exactly.
of people will benefit from that aspect of it. It won't actually be somebody coming and just making it rain and saying you can have this and you can have that.
Yep.
What because we have your team has been a topic of spaces a lot of times. How do you keep that chatter away from the team and just telling them don't worry about what they're doing over there and just keeping them focused?
No, I think at the end of the day, when you're successful, you're going to have that chatter. And I tell our kids all the time, like, to me, it's entertaining. Like, I don't know if I hear and see it all and all that stuff, and people send it to me and stuff. But for me, it's entertaining because we know we're doing something right. When we first got to Eau Gallie, no one knew who we were. I mean, there
Right.
was probably all our seniors on our team that aren't from Eau Gallie had no idea who Eau Gallie was. And we knew when we came in, but I knew where the area was that we could make a stamp on this program. And obviously, year two we went 9-1.
Right.
Year one we won 7 games. So again, we did it pretty quickly and kind of had the target on our back. But at the end of the day, and most people know this about us, we're not scared of anyone. We don't care what people say. We're going to go out there and play. And for people to criticize us or talk crap or whatever, that comes with the territory of being good. If you're good and then lose a game, you're going to get people talking to you. That's the nature of the business. The way you stop that is the win. And if you
Right.
keep winning, not just on the field, and obviously everything else, you don't have to worry about that. But again, at the end of the day, it's a situation where us as a program kind of laugh it off, but we kind of keep it in our back pocket. So when we do win, we can kind of throw it back at y'all, which we like to do as well.
Right. Because it's been some times where I've underestimated y'all, and then y'all they come in and they like, yeah, what you said, and you got to eat your words
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you said something crazy, whether it was out of emotion or whatever the
sure.
case may be. Is there a game on your schedule that you may have circled or you're excited about? Not in the context of bulletin
Yeah,
board.
I think
Just
obviously the Titusville game is going to be big for us. In the district play, I think it's our second district game, so I think that's going to be a good game for us. Going back to the Tallahassee Lincoln, it's fun for me because I'm from Tallahassee.
sure.
Obviously, we don't want to drive that far along, but there's a couple teams in our area that refuse to play us. So we have to drive to Tallahassee, which again will be good for our team, and it'll be fun for me again being from Tallahassee. That was my rival in high school, and their whole staff are former FAM coaches. So again, a lot of us know those guys. Those district games are huge. Cut off. You got me back.
Yeah, you back now.
Yeah. So our first priority is to win the district, and then after everything's icing on the cake. So again, we're preparing for those couple games in the middle of our schedule.
Let's talk about a little bit about the district. How do you like the district of the All Brevard district? And it's Titusville, Palm Bay, Merritt Island, Eau Gallie, and I think this
Satellite.
one, Satellite. Yeah. So how do you like that district makeup?
It really helps me in scheduling because again, like I said before, people don't want to play, so it kind of forces those guys' hands to play. So for me as a head coach to have an in county where obviously we're going to get the gate for those home games, and it's easier to travel. It's not cost much to take a charter bus. We're going down the road to Satellite or Merritt Island or wherever we're going. So it's good in that aspect, and I think Brevard County football is pretty good right now. Obviously, the rise of Titusville is awesome. Merritt Island's always Merritt Island. I think Satellite's always going to play people tough. And Palm Bay's Palm Bay. So again, I think it's good for our kids. And like I said before, they're playing guys they know. They're playing kids that they grew up playing against and with. So again, it gives that extra motivation when they go on the field with them.
We talked about some of the underrated players. You guys got some transfers in. Who's a newcomer outside of maybe Joseph Allen that will be doing that you expect to play a big role for your team this year?
Yeah,
Whether young
I
kid or new kid.
Yeah, I think a kind of surprise that we all didn't even see coming or heard about was the kicker that came in from Merritt Island Chase.
Right.
He's a huge value to what we do because we play such good defense. So when we kick the ball off, if we can pin those teams inside the 20, that means teams have to go over 80 yards to score on our defense, playing guys like Brandon and X and E-Man. So I think that's going to be a huge, huge value in our season long term. So we're excited about him. We got a couple offense linemen that transferred in. Savion Johnson being one of them. He's a phenomenal player that played a lot of RC downs in his career. So those guys are probably the ones off the top of my head. But we got obviously a handful of others that are going to contribute, and we're excited for the guys that are here.
I thank you for coming on. Thank you. I didn't know how the interview was going to go because I just know I've said a lot of things, and I take pride in what I said.